We're told before the ride they were told 3 times to put their phones away, but the twins defied the rules.
Why do you have to put down a phone on a roller coaster?
Because if you ride it and you drop it, it could hit someone.
Onlookers at the Orange County Fair thought they were watching just another summer night thrill ride, until the entire roller coaster screeched to a stop with the spotlight on none other than Diddy's 18-year-old twins. Jesse and Delilah, dressed head to toe in designer outfits that looked more Beverly Hills runway than county fair, flat out refused to put their phones away after repeated orders from the ride operator. Witnesses say the worker shouted over the crowd, his voice cutting through the music and flashing lights, while the sisters tossed him the kind of eye rolls only teenagers with an empire-sized bank account can pull off. We're told the confrontation got so tense that families nearby covered their younger relatives' ears as the ride's control booth went into full shutdown mode. It was a clash of egos, 2 heiresses testing their power against a carny with a whistle. And for a moment, nobody knew who would win.
It's a Connie thinking like, this is my domain. They were just being bratty, I think.
You're a twin.
I am.
Do you think twins are more bratty because it's kind of a cute little thing that they're twins and they look alike and blah, blah, blah?
I think it's more of a sign of just bad parenting.
Those who stuck around for the aftermath described the twins as stone-faced and unbothered while staff huddled at the ride entrance. One parent in line claimed the girls laughed under their breath, as if daring the worker to eject them. When the final call came, "Off the ride now," they slid out of their seats with slow, deliberate movements, phones still clutched like trophies. Gasps followed them down the ramp, some muttering about entitlement, others whispering that this was just the beginning of something bigger. And let's be honest, for Jesse and Delilah Combs, nothing is ever just a misunderstanding at a fairground. Everything about them, from the designer sneakers to the relentless paps tracking their every move, screams performance.
The government essentially said that Sean Combs led a criminal enterprise for his desires, that he tried to cover up crimes, that he was the leader of this criminal enterprise, and that he committed at least 2 that they believe of these elements that are part of the racketeering conspiracy.
But was this rebellion really about keeping a phone out on a coaster? Or was it something more orchestrated? We have to remember their father isn't just another inmate cooling his heels. Sean Diddy Combs is sitting in a Brooklyn federal facility facing charges that could keep him locked up for decades. Multiple judges have said he's a risk for witness tampering, and prosecutors even accused him of trying to bend social media narratives from inside his cell. With that in mind, sources close to the family are whispering that he hasn't stopped pulling strings. Through coded jailhouse calls and messages slipped past watchful guards, Diddy may still be shaping how his daughters behave in public. Could this roller coaster debacle have been a manufactured spectacle? A way to keep the Combs name exploding in headlines even while the patriarch is behind bars? It wouldn't be the first time a scandal doubled as a strategy. We've heard this playbook before. Keep the world talking, keep control of the story. Insiders who've worked with Diddy over the years describe him as an obsessive micromanager who would throw an entire event off schedule over a single curl of Kim Porter's hair. An industry veteran recently recalled, "He literally was just sitting there, staring at her hair. He wasn't happy with it, the way the curl went one direction. He was like, I don't care if I miss the whole show. We are not leaving until we get this curl right." If he could obsess like that on a red carpet, why wouldn't he be capable of orchestrating family drama from a prison phone? After all, he's already been accused of using his kids' social posts to sway public opinion about his birthday. A little turbulence at a fairground. Ride might be just the kind of noisy distraction he craves.
Again, I don't know if we're on the same algorithm, but I'm like, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that happened. Someone did that, yeah. And maybe not in season 1 because you're just getting started.
And the timing only fueled the speculation. Hours before the Orange County Fair showdown, Jesse and Delilah were spotted in Beverly Hills swiping their father's platinum cards with what one boutique clerk described as reckless abandon. Eyewitnesses claim the twins spent upward of 6 figures in a single afternoon, hopping from Rodeo Drive to Melrose as if there were no tomorrow. Store staff couldn't stop buzzing afterward, some shocked at the amounts, others stunned at how deliberately the sisters flaunted it. 6 figures in a single day isn't pocket change, it's a statement. Were they simply indulging in the wild freedom of being Diddy's heirs, or is this part of a bigger unraveling inside the family while their father sits in a cell?
I thought he was this clean businessman who rise to the top because he was such a powerful and smart, educated man. I had no idea that he had this other side to him. And when I started to get exposed to his lifestyle, I started to really realize, like, this guy has an addiction. It's not just, once every few weeks, it's every day, every hour.
The whispers get even darker when you place these scenes against the backdrop of Diddy's controlling legacy. We've heard about him hiring private investigators to follow Kim Porter, about him allegedly placing her in an apartment infested with rodents during one of their breakups. about his jealous streak that bordered on surveillance obsession. If this is the man who shaped Jesse and Delilah's world from birth, then their behavior now might not just be spoiled girl antics. It could be the echoes of a household where control, spectacle, and confrontation were the norm. With their father silenced by federal highways, are the twins now unconsciously reenacting his tactics in public spaces, keeping his legacy alive through chaos?
Right now is going through a number of different reasons. Again, very quick reporting indicates that the judge is citing to the defense attorney's own statements during the case that Sean Combs is a violent person, has had violent personal relationships. But of course, the defense said that doesn't mean he's guilty of racketeering. It looks like the judge is now using those statements to say he should be.
And let's not forget that while Diddy has abandoned his fight for bail, conceding to stay locked up until his trial in October 2025, he's still making moves inside. He's been granted access to a special laptop preloaded with legal documents. No internet, no emails, but plenty of material to plot and strategize. Could coded instructions be making their way from that very device, filtered through lawyers, associates, maybe even fellow inmates like Sam Bankman-Fried, who recently admitted Diddy has always been kind to him in the unit? It sounds absurd, but the history of celebrity scandals tells us absurd often turns out to be true. And here we are, staring at two teenage girls turning a county fair ride into a national spectacle while their father plots his survival from behind bars. Which brings us back to that scene at the fair. The flashing lights, the halted ride, the crowd buzzing in disbelief. The operator might have thought he was dealing with just another pair of unruly riders, but for everyone who's been following the Combs saga, it looked more like a carefully staged act. Maybe it was teenage defiance. Maybe it was a performance scripted from a Brooklyn jail, or maybe it was both, two sides of the same coin. A coin stamped with the face of a man whose empire thrives on control and controversy. What's certain is that Jesse and Delilah are not fading quietly into the background while their father fights for his future. They're making noise, burning money, and turning even a night at the fair into a headline-grabbing clash. And with rumors swirling about their spending habits and the possibility of their father's unseen hand guiding it all, the story is only getting messier.
Are you surprised by the evidence that's already coming out in the criminal trial?
No, I'm not surprised. I experienced some of those things. Witnessed violence.
Growing up in the shadow of Diddy's empire meant living a life where every move was documented, every outfit judged, and every choice whispered about in gossip blogs. Jesse and Delilah never had the option of anonymity. From the day they were born, cameras were pointed at them, and the family name carried weight in rooms most of us will never enter. But when that guiding force, for better or worse, is suddenly ripped away, replaced by prison bars and silence, the effect can be destabilizing. Experts in celebrity family dynamics have long warned that when larger-than-life parents fall, their children often stumble into chaos. Could the twins' wild behavior be less about arrogance and more about two young women struggling to process the collapse of the figure who dictated their entire world? The psychological toll is not hard to imagine. We've seen it before with the children of other powerful stars. Sudden acts of rebellion, impulsive spending, public outbursts. It becomes a desperate way of grabbing control in a life where control has always been in someone else's hands. With Diddy cut off from the outside, unable to dictate in person, the silence might feel louder than his usual commands. We have to ask ourselves, are Jesse and Delilah spiraling under the weight of expectation, thrust into a spotlight they never actually chose, with no roadmap for how to navigate it?
So that's just competitive.
Competitiveness. All right, so you and Diddy, you and Puff cool?
No, I don't really rock with him.
Okay,
like
damn, all right. I didn't know what that meant.
Okay.
All right, okay.
Of course, the fairground confrontation also opened up another layer of drama. The power dynamic between celebrity offspring and ordinary staff. Several carnival workers have since whispered that the twins strutted in like the rules didn't apply. One alleged they acted like they were above the rules, like their last name gave them a free pass. That kind of entitlement isn't hard to believe, given their gilded upbringing. But supporters of the twins are flipping the script, insisting that the ride operator was the one on a power trip, deliberately targeting them for who they were. In their eyes, this wasn't about safety protocols. It was about a worker grabbing his moment of authority by cutting down two high-profile teens. Who's right? That depends on where you stand. Are they spoiled or singled out? And this tension isn't new. Diddy himself built his reputation on control and confrontation both in his private life and in the industry. Insiders have repeatedly described him as manipulative, someone who used intimidation as much as charisma to get his way. If Jesse and Delilah have inherited that instinct, then standing off against a ride operator is less about rules and more about repeating what they've seen all their lives. Fight back, never fold, make it a spectacle. But if the carnival worker did in fact see an opportunity to flex against celebrity kids, then maybe the twins were right to resist. The truth may be tangled somewhere in the middle, but the image of the two refusing to bow down while the crowd watched will linger for a long time.
So we just got this new audio from the Diddy trial, and it is pretty explosive. This is audio of a voicemail that Diddy left to the Jane Doe who's been testifying in this trial for the last couple days. And he sounds really annoyed. He's talking about her maybe giving him the silent treatment, and his response is, I got a busy life, I can't be dealing with your silent treatment, and we got to keep it.
And just when we think the story is limited to a roller coaster ride, new leaks from inside Diddy's prison unit add another layer of intrigue. Multiple whispers suggest that he has been writing secret letters, passed through channels so murky they almost sound cinematic. In these notes, he allegedly urges his children to fight for our legacy and never let the Combs name fade into silence. For Jesse and Delilah, those words could feel like a mandate. Create drama, keep people talking, remind the world that the empire still breathes. If that's true, then every shopping spree, every public clash, every viral moment might be less random teenage rebellion and more part of an orchestrated campaign. What makes these alleged letters so unsettling is the way they reportedly blend paternal affection with coded commands. Insiders who claim to have seen fragments describe them as a strange mix of encouragement and strategy, urging the twins to stay visible, to embrace conflict, to create moments that would keep the family name relevant. Instead of offering comfort or stability, the tone is said to veer into something closer to instruction manuals for spectacle, as though, even in confinement, Diddy cannot resist shaping his children into extensions of his brand.
Will you help me? I want to hear your music, so I come over there and I play the music, and he's sitting there, just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, you know, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to you. That's what my assistant said. And I was like, oh, okay. Now I get it. So now no more communication.
The cryptic language only heightens suspicion. Observers note that some passages appear to reference past controversies, scandals he himself orchestrated or endured, couched as parables for his daughters. Lines about turning fire into light or owning the stage even when the crowd boos suggest a father teaching survival through provocation. To some, these phrases read like desperate attempts to maintain control when his empire is slipping away. To others, they sound like the ramblings of a man obsessed with legacy over family well-being. For Jesse and Delilah, the psychological weight of such correspondence could be crushing. On one hand, they are still young enough to crave their father's approval, to feel that his words carry authority. On the other, they are being cast as pawns in a much larger drama, encouraged to make headlines even when those headlines tarnish their reputations. It raises the disturbing question of whether their public clashes are truly acts of rebellion or if they are simply fulfilling the silent directives of a parent who refuses to loosen his grip. The leaks also expose a troubling pattern of blurred boundaries. Most parents separated from their children by incarceration might focus on reassurance, promising stability once freedom is regained. But these letters, if genuine, appear to prioritize narrative over nurture. Instead of shielding his daughters from the glare, Diddy seems intent on thrusting them deeper into it, turning their every misstep into fodder for a legacy that has already been marred by allegations. The result is a paradox. The more he clings to control, the more the family fractures under the pressure. Speculation abounds about how far these communications may go. Some insiders believe there could be specific directives, timelines for appearances, hints about who to be seen with, even staged moments of defiance meant to echo his own confrontational style. If true, it paints a chilling picture of a father who views his daughters less as individuals and more as living instruments of reputation management. The thought that teenage heirs might be carrying out instructions smuggled from a federal cell is almost too surreal to grasp. Yet the pattern of behavior seems to line up.
More importantly, he is a serial woman abuser, the likes of which we haven't seen in modern America, at least not on the public stage in this way. He is a repeated serial abuser. He beat those women to a pulp and didn't even deny it. He didn't deny it. They admitted expressly domestic abuse over and over and over again, something the judge used against them when they pled for bail.
And perhaps most haunting is the undertone of desperation that runs through the alleged letters. Between the lines of bravado and commands, there are said to be flashes of vulnerability, references to time slipping away, to the fear of being forgotten, to the need for his children to hold the torch because he no longer can. These moments hint at a man who knows the walls are closing in, yet still cannot resist projecting that burden onto the very people who should be shielded from it. For Jesse and Delilah, the task of carrying a collapsing empire may prove to be the heaviest legacy of all. The irony is heavy. While Diddy himself has been cut off from the glitz of Hollywood, eating prison meals alongside fallen moguls and convicted fraudsters, his daughters are out in the world acting as the avatars of the Combs brand. Spending 6 figures in Beverly Hills, clashing with workers at a county fair, these stunts may not look polished, but they generate the kind of attention he's always chased. It raises a haunting question. Is Diddy still directing his empire through proxy chaos, or is the empire beginning to crack apart, leaving his daughters to burn through his fortune with no direction at all? And so we circle back to that frozen moment on the roller coaster platform. Jesse and Delilah, phones in hand, glaring down a powerless worker as the crowd murmurs around them. Was it a teenage tantrum, a staged headline, or a desperate cry from daughters caught in the wreckage of their father's downfall? With rumors of secret prison letters, whispers of reckless spending, and the undeniable pressure of carrying the Combs legacy, this spectacle feels less like an isolated night at the fair and more like a symptom of a family at war with itself. The question now is chilling. Are we watching the rise of a new generation of Combs chaos, trained to keep the brand alive at any cost, or the slow unraveling of an empire finally collapsing under its own weight? Drop your thoughts below. Are Jesse and Delilah masterminds of a media strategy or victims of a dynasty's curse? Until next time, stay sharp, stay curious, and remember, when it comes to the Combs family, the ride is only just beginning.